You know, I got this comment the other day asking me to play Warzone on the EasySMX, and it got me thinking, is the EasySMX the best controller for Warzone? Or is it the G8 Galileo? Can't forget about the Backbone one. Solid controller. What do you think? Right. Just gonna turn that up there. Good talk. So initially, in my idea of how this video was going to play out, I thought that, hey, this is going to be a good video to let you guys know of a lot of the features with these controllers. But as you'll see in my results, that wasn't necessarily the case with these controllers. But what I did is I actually assembled these controllers in their own little tier list, and we're going to be going over each controller and what makes it good and what makes it bad, and you'll see what I mean. All right, so first we have the EasySMX controller. Let's just go ahead and start off with that, since that was the comment that led to this video. What's great about the controller is that it has two programmable buttons at the top, which makes things a little bit easier, and you can kind of switch things up just a little bit with these two buttons, these options here. And one thing I did try out when I first tested this controller was if I could change the setting that I used to ping certain items to alert my team of enemies around the area. If I can just move that to the top left switch and it worked perfectly fine, I can just use that and click that on there. But the biggest issue with this controller is that, well, it kind of disconnects and tends to do its own thing after 5 minutes of gameplay. So in this clip here, I'm trying to eliminate one of the enemies, and my controller, just for whatever reason, decides to go completely right and kind of messes up the whole situation. And then I hit the gulag, and well, my controller just stopped altogether. Actually, before I ended up in the gulag, I just kept punching, and I just kind of gave up after that. And unfortunately, because of these issues, I'm going to have to give this a D tier for this don't work. Next, we have the Backbone controller. What's great about the Backbone is that out of most of these controllers on here, this is one of the ones with the headphone jack, so you don't have to worry about also using your Bluetooth headphones to connect to your phone. What's great about this controller is that it actually works really well and had little to no issues. I think the only issues that I did experience was with Warzone in general, just lag. If you play the game, you know. But the Backbone one is a great controller for Warzone. There are no programmable buttons on it, so you can't really do much in that range with, you know, having extra functionality of some of these other controllers that are on this list. But it is a solid controller. One of the downsides is that the sticks on this controller don't allow a full range of motion, and the buttons are kind of small, which a lot of people can, you know, complain depending on the size of your hands. But because of these things, it does work, so it, you know, does not get a C tier. I'm going to give it a B tier, mainly because it works. And honestly, it's not a surprise that this controller didn't have any issues while playing this game. Overall, I feel like the Backbone one has kind of pioneered this telescopic controller space of mobile gaming, and a lot of the controllers that they've been releasing recently are just skins or different versions of the same Backbone controller. We have the PlayStation edition, we have a Death Stranding edition of the controller, and with the release of Warzone Mobile, the controller, while it looks the same, I'll show some clips here. They've got packaging for Warzone. They've got earning double XP emblem, charms, player card, all for the Backbone controller if you get this prestige edition version of the Backbone controller. So it really ties into making sure that this controller on launch works with Warzone, and that I'm sure that was a priority for both teams to make sure everything was good to go for people that purchased the Backbone 1 controller. So next we have the Gamesir X2. This controller I had a feeling wasn't going to be the best just because of the design of the controller overall, how it handles, because there are not really like grips or handles to really hold on to while playing these games, and these games can last anywhere from 10 to 20 minutes depending on which mode you're playing in Warzone. So that was already in the back of my head as a downside. But unfortunately, just like the EasySMX controller, this controller has issues with occasional lag, and then also it kind of just drops and stops working altogether. So yeah, in the clip here of this Gamesir X2, I don't know what happens. The controller, it works, and then all of a sudden there's some type of lag that happens, and then I'm guessing the game is trying to catch up to all the inputs that I put in before the lag happened. So it just turns out like a whole mess, and it makes it look like I'm spinning around like I'm crazy. So yeah, it's just not really great when you're going up against somebody, say you're on a team, and then you just start spinning around in circles. And it looks like we're just going to have to place this in the D tier because it just does not work. Now, while the Gamesir X2 was one of the controllers that I was kind of worried about from the get-go, the Gamesir G8 Galileo is one that I had a feeling would work. And darn it, I was right. We're just going to ignore the fact that currently, if you see my setup on the hand cam here, it's a little weird, it's a little wonky. If you want to know why this is set up this way with an iPhone 11, which uses Lightning, and the controller itself uses USB-C. There's a video on it already posted on the channel as well, showing how I got this connected and working. Not ideal. It looks very ugly, but it works. And also the game works with this controller, which is way more important, because having a full-size controller with these grips and these buttons and these sticks and the two back micro buttons in the by the handle, it's all great. It's all phenomenal. And because of this, we got our first S tier. All right, next we're going to look at the Leadjoy M1B controller. This controller is great, mainly because you can actually attach a MagSafe fan to the back of the controller for it to magnetically connect, and then also have a fan keeping your phone cool. If you haven't seen my video on how I, reduce the heat of Genshin Impact after playing for 30 minutes, I'll leave that in the description below that like button. But unfortunately, with all these cool features, you can't use the controller either, because just like the other two I mentioned, it doesn't work. Now, it did not disconnect on me, but the biggest issue that I did find is that either a button wouldn't work, it would work and then stop working. The common button that stopped working was the left stick. Sometimes it would work and allow me to move, but I couldn't run, or sometimes it just wouldn't work at all. Another controller in the dust. Guess we're going to have to put it in D tier. And the last controller I wanted to look at, I decided to pick up a new controller. I'm not going to review this on the channel. It's pretty old. There's tons of videos about it, but it is the Razer Kishi V2. This controller shares a lot of the same style as the EasySMX, or I should say the EasySMX shares a lot of the style of the Razer Kishi. Anyway, it has two programmable buttons on the top, and it also shares the same issues when playing Warzone, where the controller disconnects. Now, I'm not sure who the blame is on this issue. This controller is around the same price as the Backbone one at retail, excluding any special prices or discounts that you might get on these controllers. They're both at $100. For the Razer V2 to not work is a huge issue, and it's going to get a D tier. We got a lot of D's in the D tier here. So that's pretty much it for the video. I had some gameplay showing you guys what happens during the controller. I had some hand cam action going on, and the results aren't the best. Keep in mind that these controllers were tested on other games and they work perfectly fine. The issue is only with Warzone Mobile, which is unfortunate. On top of the long list of bugs that this game has, I'm not sure the team at Activision is going to find time to actually address every issue, and this one might be on the bottom of that list. But let me know in the comment section below if you already have one of these controllers and maybe yours is working fine. Maybe it's just my game, even though I uninstalled it, reinstalled it, and uninstalled it, and reinstalled it. But that's it. Hope you found this video useful. If you did, give it a like, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Later.